Goeiedag, dit is Raymond Comvalius vanaf de Deze in Den Haag. Vandaag heb ik als gast Chris Jackson van Microsoft, ook wel bekend als de app Compat guy. En ik ga hem een aantal vragen stellen over zijn visie op application compatibility in Windows 8 en wat hij vandaag heeft gepresenteerd. Hi Chris.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Good to see you today. So, what was yours? Well, let's first please introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Chris Jackson, and I'm our worldwide lead for application compatibility, and kind of turning the corner now and actually looking more into application modernization. So now that we've gotten everything working, how do we start taking advantage of this new technology we were able to deploy?
Does that mean you're also focusing more on developers, or are you still focusing on the IT pro side of modernizing applications?
From the modernization standpoint, it's on the developer side, but from the how do I target and do it in bulk, I mean, it's certainly a partnership. And that's kind of one of the barriers I'm hoping to start trying to break down, which is how do we get these people talking to each other?
So for the year to come, it is for IT pros, it is to focus on modernization of applications. And do you think we're done with application compatibility?
I don't think we're done until we've retired the very last copy of Windows XP out there. And depending upon where you go, there's a lot of them left. So I think we still have the process of getting out from underneath the weight of Windows XP and getting everyone onto at least Windows 7, if not Windows 8. And then I think it's, on to the IT pro to start thinking about which of these are good opportunities for me to implement new scenarios now that I have a much better and more robust platform, much more capable platform, and identify those opportunities and start to build those business cases.
So in Windows 7, we are breaking down all the application compatibility issues. And in Windows 8, we're moving to the next platform of applications.
That's the ideal. And right now, honestly, most people are not looking at it from, how do I rewrite everything? Because who can afford that, right? I mean, it's typical enterprise has about 2,500 managed applications and untold more unmanaged, but yet still supported applications. So you can't just do it all. The question is, what are the scenarios that you want to modernize? What are the capabilities you could add in given this starting point? What are the pain points, right? What's difficult from a supportability standpoint for the IT administrator to keep tabs of? Can we address those first? What scenarios can we simply not hit and start to identify those?
So what's the biggest thing IT pros have to look out for when it comes to application compatibility?
When we're dealing with compatibility, it kind of depends on where you are, right? If you're on XP, the biggest thing, bar none, the biggest change we've ever made to impact compatibility was introducing the concept that not everyone is an administrator all the time, right? So UAC is kind of what the most visible sign of that, but that shift was huge and had a massive impact. Since that time, we haven't really seen anything of that magnitude. What we're seeing today, for anyone going from Windows 7 to Windows 8, isn't any kind of systematic, hey, we changed the default set of assumptions. Instead, we changed the version number. And so nearly all of the failures that we see are the app is asking, hey, what Windows are you? It says Windows 8, and it's like, I don't know you. I'm just going to flat out refuse to run. And so we certainly made it easier. If we could eliminate version checks, it would be smooth sailing.
So the trick for us IT pros is to make sure that every application kind of tricks into thinking it's still Windows XP?
Well, ideally, it just stops asking. Right? I mean, this is always very interesting to me because in the enterprise, you have direct control over what they're running. The app doesn't need to ask. It should be able to assume that it'll be on something where it works. Otherwise, the IT pro's not doing their job. So why do we keep asking?
So Windows 8 should be the end of the version check. Huh?
It won't be. Windows XP should have been, but wasn't. Windows at Vista, we should have learned our lesson. We didn't. Windows 7, we should have learned our lesson. We didn't. So I have no doubt it'll continue to happen, and we'll keep doing version lies to keep our stuff working. So
today you did two sessions at Tech Days. Both sessions were about application compatibility, or?
Actually, the first one was about application compatibility, and I really did target the nerd, right? You could kind of tell, right, all of my sessions this time were 0 PowerPoints. I mean, you walked in, even the welcome slide wasn't a slide, it was output from a console mode debugger. So you kind of knew you were in for something a little bit different. The first one was about compatibility, app compat for nerds. right? What is it that someone who's technical needs to know to be more successful? How can they facilitate getting everything going? The second one was much more forward-looking. It was, what's really the security story behind Windows 8 and the new Windows 8 apps? And how can I get my head around understanding how this infrastructure of security that we've been building since Windows Vista has sort of reached a new level in Windows 8? And what does that mean in terms of application trust?
Okay, that's a very important message, I think, for IT pros. So, you think the next thing for IT pros to focus on is security in Windows 8 for the next year?
I think it's a differentiator, right? I think probably the important thing to be thinking about is what are the new capabilities that are out there that you're not taking advantage of? So if I'm an IT pro and I finish retiring Windows XP, the first thing I'm going to do is take a vacation because I'm going to be tired, right? But the next thing I want to start thinking about is, all right, so now that we've got all this stuff, right? So I've got, maybe IE9 or even IE10. I'm starting to see a couple people who are taking that move. That brings me the ability to do HTML5. That means suddenly I can start making web apps out of what I used to have to write Windows apps for. Does that make sense? Can I get more reach, right, from my app portfolio? How do I start managing this portfolio and understanding, like, hey, I don't think we're building the right stuff. Can I start building in quality bars that says, I'm not going to deploy on my network any more Quarks Mode websites? Quarks Mode's a 1999 implementation of web standards. If I now have looked at all of my stuff and I know that some of my stuff is old, can I start to say, can you up the bar a little bit from 1999? It is 2013 now, right? And then sort of look at, hey, Windows 8, does that make sense for some scenarios, right? I now know all of my dirty laundry. I've looked at all of my apps. What's a great candidate to start looking forward and taking advantage of all the things that I just spent so much time enabling in my organization?
That's a very clear message. Thank you very much, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Bedankt. Dit was het eerste interview op Tech Deze vandaag van NGN. Later